Hello, my friends. Well, today, hopefully, this won't border too much on pseudoscience. I'm going to be talking about a part of the body that is real, and going to talk about some of the science that has been looking at this body, but I'm going to add some of my own surmise based on anecdotal evidence from work with forest monks. And in explaining this, I'm going to also be giving you a very practical exercise that I hope can just bring some benefits for you. There's this thing inside you called the vagus nerve. And this is, I believe, the largest nerve network in the body. It starts in the brain and it runs down into the viscera. And we've known about this for a long time. There's old medical drawings of it. But it was not fully understood, and I would say is still not even nearly fully understood exactly what this nerve does, or its functioning in our body. The vagus nerve has been an object of study because it was discovered that people who have severe epilepsy and are not responding to conventional treatment, that if the vagus nerve was electrically stimulated, that there was a great reduction in seizures. Now, there are a couple different devices that do this. In Europe, they have a very sensible device that you can wear on the outside of your body, and it stimulates the vagus nerve and can alleviate some of these symptoms for epileptics. In the United States, of course, we like to do things differently here. So instead of an external device, you have to go through an operation and have the device implanted under your skin, and then a little wire that runs to the nerve through your skin to stimulate it, with, of course, the complications and such that go along with putting something into your body like that. That aside, it's also been found that this can work for people who have severe depression that's not responding to conventional treatment. And when people use these stimulation devices, they also report pain reduction. They report a feeling of well-being, sometimes a feeling of euphoria. But it's obvious that in stimulating that nerve, it's helping the body to regulate in some way. Some recent research has been showing that it helps the body to regulate its inflammatory response. Arguably, a lot of us suffer from inflammation of different kinds in our body. And it's interesting, the coronavirus, from what we know about it, the virus itself may not be the thing that often is killing people, but at some point the body triggers an inflammatory response. It goes hyperimmune system, and that is what kills us. I'm going to go out on a limb and surmise that this vagus nerve is the main communication between our brain up here and what some people call the second brain. There's a lot of neurons down in our guts, and that these are meant to be communicating, that our emotional responses, our mental state, and a lot of the overall functioning in our body is dependent on this communication system, which regulates and smooths out a lot of things, creates what we might call homeostasis. So that word means an evening out of things. We'd use it in reference to our temperature, for instance, keeping us at Celsius, I'm not quite sure, at 98.6 Fahrenheit. And whether it's cold out or hot out, there's that homeostasis that keeps us pretty even keel. Emotionally too, we have a baseline that we come back to. So we may get very happy or very sad, but we tend to return to a baseline. So there's these baselines, this homeostasis that often is not really working very well in a lot of our bodies. So our bodies are hyper inflamed, our emotions are, and we see it in, well, a lot of the statistics that we see for suicide and mental illness and autoimmune diseases and a lot of the things that we are suffering from. So I find myself wondering if this lack of communication, this lack of balance between these two systems is creating an overall balance in our mental, emotional, physical selves. And by stimulating that vagus nerve, then we can start to get the communication going again and begin to restore a balance. Now, I'm not advocating a machine, even the external ones, but I am going to suggest that there are other ways to stimulate the vagus nerve. And again, science bears this out, that things often that relax us, sometimes in a stimulating way, such as yoga, meditation, deep breathing, that these things stimulate the vagus nerve and get that communication channel working the way that it's supposed to. And that if we continue with this as a practice, we can optimize that and bring that vagus nerve essentially back to life and then reap a whole bunch of benefits from it. When forest monks come to ReWild University, I actually have a little biofeedback machine. And using this, we can see how our heart and our breathing interact. And we can get a rhythm going that, to me, I believe is probably stimulating that vagus nerve. We use a deep breathing technique, and this has been shown to stimulate the vagus nerve. But when we see this curve happen with the biofeedback machine, then we often feel a certain way. And I've watched enough people do this that I feel like I can give you a practice that has worked for the majority of people, that not only helps to get that nice active relaxation that stimulates the nerve, but gives benefits. Because I've heard enough people say when they do this that they are feeling benefits of feeling like they're not getting sick as much, feeling more their baseline rising, their emotional baseline rising, feeling more energetic, just more alive, more aware, more focused. And the exercise is pretty simple. It's deep breathing, and that's into our belly. As you probably know, I can breathe high into my chest, which is actually kind of a shallow way to breathe. And really, I would say, stimulates that part of our nervous system that we would call the sympathetic nervous system, our fight or flight response, reaction. When we're nervous, notice how you're breathing. It's probably high into the chest and short. So we're going to switch that into the belly, deep, filling up the belly. The chest can naturally expand. You want to almost feel that expansion in the back too. And then exhaling. Ideally, if you don't have a stuffy nose, in through your nose and out through your nose or your mouth. And what I have people do is breathe 5 seconds in, and 5 seconds out. And to repeat this for about 10 minutes. It's a really nice way to meditate. So you can add this onto any of your other practices, meditative practices, even your yoga. About 10 minutes, 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out. And you should feel a state of relaxation come over you. And ideally for me, and again, for the people that I've seen do this practice, it's a state of relaxation that feels poised, feels aware. If you've had a meditation teacher that might have told you that as we meditate, we don't want our mind to go off and get drifty and tired. We want it to be very sharp, very poised, but not following different thoughts forms as it goes away. We want it to be quiet, calm, but at the same time focused, like a martial arts stance. Not overly tight, but poised, relaxed, very ready, but relaxed at the same time that we're energetically present. That's the way we want to breathe. 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out. If that is too difficult for you, you can go to 4 or 3 seconds. With the children, they'll do about 3 seconds, and that feels better. You might have really great lung capacity and feel like you want to do 6 or 7. This isn't something to push, just to find something that's super comfortable for you to breathe in, breathe out. This is something that a few years ago I simply added to my other practices, and it fits right in. Again, if you're doing a meditative practice, just add in this 5 second in, 5 second out breathing into your belly. And I think after a few days, you may even begin to notice a difference in your level of calm. This is going to be doing a lot of hidden benefit too inside of you. And again, I don't have tons of science to back that up, so much of this is anecdotal from what I've witnessed. Interesting, look up vagus nerve and you'll see some pretty interesting stuff as far as what people are studying, but not really hard, firm science yet. I think over time that we're going to discover that when you wake this up, it is a vital part of finding overall balance in our body, in our mind, in our emotions. If you try this out, of course, please report in. Let us know what your experience is. If any of you have actually tried the electrical stimulation of the vagus nerve, what did you experience? Love to you all. Thank you for being part of this with us. Hope you're all doing well. And of course, also share how you're doing in the comments. We will talk with you tomorrow.